Silence always wins. Silence always wins. Isn't it beautiful that we didn't have to like, okay, guys, we got to work together to make silence happen. We got to do our best. Try to get this thing called silence to happen. And just, a moment of noticing, resting. Silence is here. And even as words are happening, does not stop the silence. Silence, not the opposite of sound, not the opposite of vibration or frequency, but you as silence, you as silent presence, the vast expanse of infinite loving listening. Infinite loving listening. It's wonderful that in our dreams we have all these things that we are mastering and all these different qualities of life that we are exploring and learning and discovering and getting better at, and all the different strategies and positioning ourselves to win and to succeed. And welcome. Feel free to have a seat. Hello there, love. There's stuff here. Everyone here loves to cuddle. And so it's so wondrous that even amidst all these incredible paths to grow and to evolve and to discover, that there's something about us that isn't in that realm. There's something about us that isn't in the realm of this one has a little bit more and that one has a little bit less and that one has a little bit more and that one has a little bit less, and I had a little bit more last week after I did ayahuasca, and then all of a sudden I went to lunch with my stepmother, and Lord have mercy, the boy did it. And then it went down low, and then it went down up, and then it went down high, and then it did all this. And this moment, this silence, this aware intelligence, unwavering, unmoving, your very nature. Hello and welcome. Welcome, welcome. Please have a seat. Are there any more pillows? Oh, there's this guy here. There's a poof, but that's good. Just been here talking about you the whole time. Yay. And it's so sweet. I mean, look around this room, all the different expressions of sacred geometry, we can say, all the different expressions of our genetic majesty, all the different expressions of this DNA that somehow survived the famine and the saber-toothed tiger and the floods. Wondrous, wondrous emanations, expressions of silence, of consciousness. And at the core of the wondrous flash of a name, the flash of anything described, defined, labeled, because it most certainly is but a flash, is the solidity, the stability of beingness that you are. This silence, always reliable, always available, always here, always so welcoming and delighted that it allows for every dream, every emanation, every tone of the strummed gong of existence to have a full life, and in that, an honorable undoing. A full life, a birth, a flourish, and a dissolving. a dying, a decaying. What poetry? What poetry? When the emphasis is on our personalities and on identity, and what are the tres amigos of suffering? Anyone want to share? Tres amigos of suffering?
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Hey, ding, ding, ding. Identity, ding a ling a ding. And time, ding a ling a ding, ding, ding. I call those the tres amigos of suffering consciousness. Innocent. Tres amigos of separation consciousness. Totally innocent. Anytime that we find ourselves stressed and freaking out, if we look and notice what's happening in our minds, we could always see that we're identifying as something. We could always see that we're imagining that there's something called time. And we could always see that there's something called, we can notice that there's imagined to be something called cause and effect. The way this is going to affect that, and that's going to affect this, and am I going to feel this way tomorrow or the next month, or did that happen? Oh, the past was like this and like that and like that and like that. And that's just the nature of mind. Totally innocent, totally fucked up, as my dear friend Deborah Silverman likes to say. She has a book coming out that's called You're Fucked Up and I Still Like You. It's also called the I Don't Believe in Astrology book, but yes, that operating system is naturally totally bazonkers, totally loco in the coco, totally cuckoo in the puku. Perfectly so. Perfectly so. Turtle in a half shell. Turtle power. So, how interesting that with this crazy ass mind, and then crazy ass mind only sees itself. In other words, a lot of times when we begin the spiritual journey, we imagine that our awakened soul has recognized the absurdity of mind. And our awakened soul is going to fix that mind up and going to whip it into shape. And that our awakened soul is going to change our thoughts and change our beliefs and do the law of assumption and do the law of attraction, and that our awakened soul is going to take mind and evaporate it or turn it into butterflies, and that's just mind's reaction to mind. The soul has never seen mind. Awareness sees itself. It's the mind that sees the mind. It's the mind that has a problem with the mind. I wrote a song many moons ago. Also, this moment that says, the song says, who's got a problem with your ego? Who's got a problem with your mind? It's like saying infinity gets her panties in a twist over time. Who's got a problem with emotions? Who's got a problem with feeling down? It's like saying the endless sky has a problem with each cloud. Who's got a problem with the ego? Who's got a problem with the mind? Who's got a problem with the ego? Who got a problem with the mind? Who's got a problem with the body? Who's got a problem with its name? It's like saying the ocean has a problem with each wave. Who's got a problem with the thoughts Oh, even if there's a million of them, you can push and fight till you realize that the only thing that's got beef with the mind is the mind. Hey, who got a problem with the ego? Da da do da da do da da do da do. Who got a problem with your mind? Who got a problem with the ego? Oh, 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 oh. And if I was in an ayahuasca ceremony, I'd say, who's got a problem with the mind? Nine, 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 nine. Who's got a problem with the mind? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And it's very useful to have this problem. I don't know if you're familiar with all kinds of gurus out there that have asked their beloveds to do all kinds of shit, like clean that kitchen and clean that kitchen and walk around that mountain and walk around that mountain, go pick that particular flower out of that particular thing and do da. The only invitation is for you to fall flat on your face, exhausted. Exhaust every means possible. Exhausted, exhausted, exhausted. Manifest, manifest, manifest. Get exhausted, till you fall flat on your face and you notice what's always here that we just don't notice. What's always present already, just as this moment is. Every atom in its place, just as this moment is. Every thought in its place, just as this moment is. Every nervous system in its place, just as this moment is. Everything in its place in this moment. Another word for that is rest. Another word for that is fulfillment. Another word for that is damn. Another word for that is hey. Another word for that is anyone else want to throw one in there? This moment is you. Your name is the sacred, immeasurable beauty that brings everything here to its knees. This, so how sweet. I am so honored for you to be here in this moment. And it's so beautiful in this moment. It's kind of like we get to come out of the closet for a little bit. We get to come out of the closet of who we think we are. We get to come out of the closet of all that we think we are. We get to come out of the closet of all that we think we need to do and all that we think we need to learn, and all that we think we need to heal, and all that we think we need to blue badaba doo badaba snabba nabba new banama. And then just be naked with each other. Yes, undressed radiance. This aware consciousness, this that's brighter than any sun in any solar system. Expialidocious. Yes, this supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And we got Mary Poppins sitting right over here. She literally has beloveds that call her Mary Poppins in Michigan. Yes, yes, indescribable. Notice the part of you that has never been described. The part of you that has never been reduced to an equation, regardless of how apparently complex it may appear to be. The part of you that is freedom itself. Freedom itself. Another thing that I like, another name for this is plain ass cracker. Because for the ego, innocent ego, precious, beloved little ego, it's absolutely terrified of plain ass cracker. And of course, the ego wants to do everything it can to survive, to perpetuate the delusion. And so for the ego, it looks for the guacamole, it looks for the cheese whiz, it looks for the Texas caviar. Hell, even if it's just a cucumber sandwich, he goes like, yes, bitch. Give me something. Give me something. Give me something. Perfectly perfect. The beloved precious mind, ego, structure never has to stop doing that. It's adventurous, it's exciting, and it's all exalting freedom and that which has never been touched. It's always exalting this moment, not the opposite of it, not an obstruction of it, not the evidence of unconsciousness, not the evidence of I'm doing it wrong or I'm not doing it right or I haven't had this happen or that happen or my chakras haven't been aligned or someone out there who called me because they were wondering if I can actually do one of those surgeries and it was very hard for me to tell them, no, I do not give third eye lifts. I'm very sorry. Third eye lifts. Yes. So plain ass cracker. Notice in this moment, what an invitation. Everything about you that you can describe, including the esoteric stuff. Sometimes we think the esoteric stuff is where it's at. That's just another smear of cheese whiz. Process Velveeta. So I'm a seventh dimensional being, Velveeta. Wondrous. So this is not, I mean, it's a little bit of poke, a little fun here and there, and it's all welcome, and it's a little touch of shade, being that this is not your mama satsang, and I am kind of a drag queen, some degree, in some circles. Certain subcultures. But in the context of why we are here, of this moment, the context of what is continuing to knock on the inside of our hearts, this liberation, this fulfillment. It is very sweet to acknowledge who you are closer than concept, who you are beyond thought, who you are closer than storyline. One of the little things I like to invite as an exploration, because it's all about direct experience. We've had so many beloveds talking in all kinds of places, hoping that beliefs happen or little sayings that someone can put on the as a bumper sticker on a Prius. little things that you can find in a fortune cookie or in a box of Cracker Jacks or in a book called a religious text. Beliefs. You know, I love the quote, religions are but the footprints of where truth once walked. Religions are but the footprints of where truth once walked. And not just religions, any belief system, not just religions, belief systems, identities. This moment is fresh, not new, infinite, beyond ancient. But yes, this is fresh, ever alive, beaming as atoms and cells and molecules and systems, organisms, ecosystems, planetary systems, galactic clusters, from the micro to the macro. So this little invitation is, if I were to ask you, who are you? But under the invitation, under the condition that you don't touch one atom from the past. Who are you now? Si te pregunto quién eres, sin tocar ningún átomo del pasado, ¿quién eres? En este instante, ¿quién eres? ¿Quién eres? Another way of asking that is, if I were to ask you what's here now, what's aware now, but without touching one syllable from the past, one word from the past. This is the invitation where these wondrous greetings that have appeared throughout the trajectory of our species, such as Namaste and Lak'ech, where it gets to be a lived reality. Or it's not just a sweaty Lululemon moment in a yoga studio. Or it's not just a what is that shaman called? Yeah, whatever shaman in Tulum, pulling people off the side of the road. Saying, "In Lakesh, in Lakesh." Yes, of course, this appears as everything. But how sweet that we have the option to get familiar with either being here solely through the lens of our perception, which is being here through our descriptions. That's what we're most used to, is being here through our descriptions, right? And we don't even consider another option of being here. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm sitting here, and this is my chair, and this is my cute little shirt, and this is the floor, and this is my toes, and it's like, I love what you're wearing, I love what you're wearing, I love you so good, you smell so good, which is wonderful, and this is not the opposite of that, or that that's wrong. That's all wonderful. But it is very interesting that we begin to notice with wisdom, wisdom, we begin to notice with this wisdom that it's so obvious that the wars that are appearing on the planet, this harmony, is because there's an overemphasis on the closed system of intelligence known as mind. The ecosystem of identity, definition, descriptions. That means that means this interacts with that, and da 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 da. The overemphasis of that is the caked, crusty human condition. And of course, we exalt concepts such as separation, me versus you, and I got to protect my shit, and defense, strategies, war. My God is better than your God. My this is better than your this. It's wondrous, so innocent, so very, but all of that happens with an overemphasis on descriptive intelligence, which is an intelligence that we made up. When did these rumors start? When did this idea of being separate from life itself begin? And how did it get so popular? It's just a very short trend in our species. It's not going to last. In fact, in this moment, it's over. In this moment, it is done. The only thing that tells us it's not done is a thought that we can question now. But in my direct experience, there's not one soul on this planet who's not the awakened beloved. There's not one soul on this planet that's not absolutely set ablaze with infinite consciousness. Boy, do some beloveds try to pretend like they ain't. And boy, can it seem like they're doing a good job. Okay, Oscar worthy. But thankfully, no one has ever done an excellent job at it. No one's ever really done a good job at it. Still infinite, vast intelligence, still loving presence. You know, it's so interesting that this open, aware, loving intelligence may seem foreign to some beloveds, but if you're involved in any kind of artistry, if you're involved in any kind of humor, you're involved in any kind of, it's always coming through. Art is an emanation of open intelligence. That's why art is such a gift. That's why art has moved the cultures forward. And that's why art, by certain expressions of the mind, not the reptilians, not the government, not the deep state, not the this state, not the that state, not the deep fried bucket of chicken, not the, not the, it's all mind with mind. There isn't some evil force out there trying to sabotage us. It's only the mind with the mind. And there are expressions of the mind. Culture is an expression of an individual. So therefore, just like Gandhi done said, be the peace you wish to see in the world. It's a real thing. And how we discover that peace is a moment of open intelligence. So we move from fist consciousness to open palm consciousness. And a sweet support for that open palm consciousness. Let's say if the fist was descriptions and words and language and identity, time, cause and effect, and that needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and then that, and then that, and I live in this scary world, and it's not going to heal fast enough, and we're going to just blow up, and this is going to happen, that's going to happen. If we're going from the closed system of intelligence, a moment of allowing everything to be as it is naturally relaxes that stance on reality, naturally relaxes. So in this moment, I invite you as a direct experience, from a space of curiosity, to feel into what it's like to allow everything to be as it is right now. It's good to start with yourself. Notice what's happening with mind and allow mind, whatever tone of mind may be present, to just allow it to be here as it is. It gets to exist. It gets to be free. Emotions get to be free. Sensations get to be free. Nervous system gets to be free. Whatever our story is of our circumstances gets to be free. Time gets to be free. The house gets to be free. The block gets to be free. If there's anyone in your life that's feeling difficult, a parent, a lover, a friend, in this moment, allow them to be free. Not needing to change anything about them. Allowing the planet to be free, whatever our story is of the collective consciousness, because that's the only story it ever is our story of it. Allow to be free. The whole planet allowed to be free. And I always remember this sweet moment back when I was 19 years old on LSD on the ground in a golf course in Miami, Florida. And the sprinklers are going off, and I'm just like, oh, this grass is so good. And I just like with my long hair, like that. And I'm just like, and then I hear like, then I open my eyes, and there's a raccoon right in front of me. And I swear to God, it felt like this was a raccoon shaman. Of course it was. My little, Cuban Italian ass on LSD in the golf course in Miami, Florida. And I swear to God that this raccoon was inviting me to be like, let me invite you to experience the world how I experience it. Are you game? And I said, yes. And in that moment, as I'm looking into the raccoon's eyes, it was the first time I really got to be in my story of the world. Because at that point, I'd already known that there was no world. Oh, and the story of the world was that, damn, there was a part of me that was still like, I wish the beloveds on this planet knew that there was no world so we can finally love each other and have giant big ass cuddle puddles and like use all our time to create some shit, to like make some art and have giant choirs and just I was like, it's time, it's time. I had all these ideas, like, damn, it's gonna take forever. Who knows how long it's gonna take for this world to finally catch the fuck up with that all is well. A lot of judgments, a lot of labels, still not noticing the sneaky nature of mind to come back in and color shit up. Come back in but in that moment with the shaman raccoon or Lojuni Nachoni, it was just like such a release of like, holy hell, no one has to wake up. No one has to change. This whole world, all that's my own story. Who needs to wake up? I need to wake up now. Who needs to change? I need to change now. Whose responsibility is it? Oh, me. Whose responsibility is it to be a planet of infinite love light now? Oh, that's not this beloved. That's me. That's my responsibility. And then I was just there with my hands in the wet grass and the earth and so in love and amazed and crying because there was such a sense of, you precious angels. That was a form of violence, expecting you to be something you are not, or a form of violence, not seeing who you are and thinking that you were my thought of you. You are not my thought of you. You are not my story of you. You are not my assumptions of you. You are not my most thought out, methodical, scientifically based ideas of where you're going and what you're going to do and what's going to happen. No, you are not those things at all. You are free and fabulous. You are free. You are free. And then it was like, oh my God, who else could I get to do this with? And everyone that I was hugging, that was just like, it was like, especially family. Because it's like, since talk about identity, the reason why family has such a charge is because we also identify with them as ourselves. Oh, he opened a center in Costa Rica, started doing cacao ceremonies. We're still good friends. He has an amazing Instagram. I love his hashtags. They're great. They're great. It was actually my shoe. When I came to, I was like, oh, it was just my shoe. When I was on LSD, I thought it was a raccoon, but it was Converse. I'm just kidding. It really was a raccoon. Yeah, that's right. And he really is in Costa Rica. And he really is. It really, really was. Anyone want to share something or have something you'd like to explore regarding this undressed radiance that you are? Oh, Abalashile Dogaling Che Wang Kong Sang. Habadabading for the beloveds at home.
So I just grabbed
And it's pressed. Thank you, love.
I just grabbed my tea, and on the bottom of it here it says let the opportunities come to you. And obviously from like you mentioning like freedom and just openness and receiving, I thought that was
I love
just
that.
divine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the opportunities come to you. Like a big cup of tea. I have a song that says, this moment's like a cup of herbal tea. And I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban, I'm a cube of sweetness dissolving. But it was hard to sing that song in Miami because it was like, and I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban. And it's like, no, a cube is sugar, not I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban, I'm a Cuban. Anyone else want to share something? Yes.
So I did a haiku
Okay.
and I liked it.
I'd love to hear it.
Goes, it's nothing but new as the play never ceases, since love never lands.
Yea to never landing. Has anyone here never been to Satsang before? Or one of these? Okay, cool. Yeah. So Satsang means, it's a Sanskrit word. Sat means truth. Sang is derived from the word Sangha, meaning a community of like-hearted beings. And Satsang is coming together to notice that which is beyond all difference, all time, all space, all cause and effect, that which is always here. And as we rest here, and there's this moment speaking to itself, so words are used, but this conversation's not about the words. Bodies are used, but this conversation's not about the bodies. Places are used, and this conversation's not about the places. This is confirmation, invitation, and maybe a challenge to any thoughts that may appear to say, I am not freedom now. Any thoughts that may appear that say, there's a lot that needs to happen before I can just be who I've always been now. Satsang started coming through the moment I started noticing what was here. Didn't know what satsang was. It's also kind of like, yeah, it's no words to describe it, so I'm not going to attempt to. and but I remember I was working at a Wild Oats back in 2001, and or 2000, maybe 2000. And I would go outside to have lunch, and I'd talk to people throughout the store, and it'd be so funny because it's like, oh, this is Wild Oats, so there's a lot of spiritual people here, and it would just happen. People would just ask questions like, tell me about this glow. Why is this? Where's all this joy coming from? What's this? And we start sharing, and then they'd ask what time I go to lunch, and so we'd sit down outside on the grass, and they'd join me, and we talk about this moment. We talk about how innocent it is to imagine that we're someone going somewhere and that it's just not true. And we have these different conversations. And one day this woman was like, I really love your satsang. And I was like, what's that? You mean because I sit and sing? Okay. Did I sat and sang? And then she was like, I'd love to invite you to a video satsang with my teacher Gangaji. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went, and there was this woman, this American woman from the deep south, with an Indian name, Gangaji, coming from the Ganges River. Gangaji meaning like a venereal, no, not venereal, not chlamydia, no. Revered, a revered beloved, revered. Ooh, Lord, yay language. Venereal. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? Venerable. No. Venerable. Not venerable. It is, of course. Yay. There's an ointment for that. Okay. So this beloved Gagaji appeared on the TV screen and on Deborah's phone. And she said, if I'm appearing in your consciousness, it's to simply say yes. If I'm appearing in your consciousness, it's to simply say yes. And that yes landed so deeply because I didn't realize that I was searching for confirmation. It was like, okay, yes, I love Wayne Dyer. And what about this moment? Oh, yes, I love this beloved. And what about this moment? Oh, yeah, I love. And what about this moment? And I love. And so sweet for this lady to be like, yes, this moment, full stop. Just as this moment is, be still. And then it was like discovering a whole, we can say they don't call themselves a lineage. It's just this moment continuing to appear in many apparent forms, saying hello to this moment, continuing to apparently appear in many forms. But really sweet. Anyone have a question regarding satsang? When did satsang start? When did I start doing satsang? So before, again, I didn't know what satsang was, but you mean formally calling it satsang?
When did you start just talking?
Oh, I just start talking like this. Well, I mean, right? It's kind of like it's like as you had your experiences, and then you just start talking like that. I did not, she says. I was very young, and they would try to shut me up on television when they asked me questions, and I'd be like, well, it's all just God. They'd be like, no, you're a good Catholic boy. Okay, what's your favorite color? So it was kind of like in this recognition, I just felt there was such a value and so curious, and to explore and to point out, oh, of course, there's something here about you that's never been named. I love that you have a name, and you've never really had a name. I love that you have a body and you've never really had a body. I love that you've had a planet. You've never really been on a planet. You know, it's so sweet that we can explore. Sometimes people move into spaces where even non duality becomes religious. So there's mind's version of non duality, ego's version of non duality. And it's kind of like the non duality police. You ever been in the presence of vegan police? It's like non-duality police, where it's just like, oh, hi, love, how you doing? Oh, who's doing? Who's here? Who's that? Who's And that's totally hilarious and fun, and I can see that it has its place, but sometimes it's just the ego just wanting to know something else and wanting to have a position and wanting to feel like it knows something over other people and knows something else and doesn't know nothing. And so it's so there's fundamental everything. There's the fundamental astrologist, fundamental Course in Miracles, and of course we're familiar with fundamental Baptists and fundamental Catholicism and fundamental this and that. It's mind's version of the religion. And it's also so beautiful in this openness. You like your religion, you keep your religion. You don't like your religion, you drop your religion. You like your name, you keep your name. You don't like your name, you change your name. You like your path, you keep your path. You don't like your path, you don't take the path. It's so beautiful how all-inclusive it is. And then also to recognize the beloveds that are Christians, but they're not Christians from the ego. They have a lived communion with the beloved. That there are Muslims, and that there are the Sufis, and that there are beloveds from every path, that it's fresh and alive and wild and free. And life is about praise. You know, it's so very interesting. That's why I love that this is a little bit of an education and the nature of closed mind and open mind. And there's no difference in closed mind, closed heart, open mind, open heart. Yeah. So it's so wonderful that we get to discover this. And what I love is that we get really skilled not at holding on to this, because does this need to be held on to? Yes, it's just here. You are aware. If you're aware, even if you're so convinced that you're unaware, what's aware of that? If you are aware of anything, is evidence that oof, aware, loving stability right here, just as the moment is, just as this moment is. And so we don't get skilled at how do I become more loving? How do I become more peaceful? Because for a moment, feel into the qualities of this aware intelligence. All is welcome, so loving. This moment is peace, synonymous with awareness, harmony, everything at rest. Those things we don't need to get more of. Where it gets really helpful is we start getting really skilled at noticing. And then the inquiry is, how am I not being the peace that I am right now? And then we may notice, oh, I'm believing a thought that isn't true. I'm telling a story. I am projecting a narrative into an imagined future. I'm running from an imagined past. And that all has to do with mind, with descriptions, definitions. And then there's all kinds of tools we can do. We dance, we art, we walk in the forest, we learn, and what I love is the tool of just an open palm. Oh, I'm noticing all this. Let's just allow for a moment. Totally welcome to be here as it is. As we allow, there's an outshining that occurs. And we're no longer experiencing our life through the technology of the amazing telescope or microscope or kaleidoscope that is our body, that is our thought structures, that is our mental structures. And then we are open again and we're like, oh, wow, yay, reality, yay, the sacred, yay, God, yay, the beloved, yay, yay, this aliveness. Oh, yay, all is well. Yay, all is well. I feel like those magnets in Lolitas. Yay, hiking. Yay, dreaming. Yay, pizza. Yay. Yay, this moment. You know, who was it that said, I think it was a Catholic saint, said something along the lines of all is well and all is well. And even now, with all the affairs, all is well. All is well. All is well. Or the way it's come through in one of my poems, all is well with tears. All is well with unanswered questions. All is well. And never picking up the pieces. All is well. This moment. Mm. Oh, how am I not loving what is right now? Of course. I have an argument with reality, as Byron Katie says. I have an argument with how I believe things should be. I have an argument with these ideas. I have an allegiance to an idea of what's best for someone, what's best for my child, what's best for the planet, what's best for the species. We're familiar with that experience. And then how sweet that there can be a simultaneous education in the nature of mind, while simultaneously an education in the nature of nature, the nature of being, nature of presence. In just a few more moments. If anyone wants to ask a question, share. Can you please pass the microphone, please?
So you were talking about being present, being in the moment.
Yes.
How does one maneuver purpose, future casting, and being now in the moment?
Yes. So good. So what I love about how present this moment is that it's huge. And it includes every dream of a future, every dream of future casting, like this moment, inescapable. And that's why I love the word available. Available is the intersection of, we can say, what's not and what is, or the intersection of naked, undressed radiance and the dream, the intersection of what's awake and what's dreamed. And in that intersection, we're available to our lives. And so I love when we're super stressed and we're not available. Some beloveds can't even dream. Some beloveds can't even future cast. Some beloveds are just like, holy shit, I got to find 2 sticks to rub together. Or we're in total survival mode. Or if we do future cast or if we do dream, it's like little tiny. Oh, I hope I win a $200 scratch off ticket.
Right.
Or not to say any of that's wrong or but we don't allow ourselves to dream and to future cast. And then it's really interesting. There's a difference there. When we do it from ego, from mind, which is innocent, totally okay, it's from a space of lack. It's like, I'm not going to be okay until that happens.
Right.
Or I'm not going to be able to rest. Or I'm not going to be able to love my wife fully until that happens. Or I'm not going to be able to love my child fully or be present to my babies fully now until that happens. Or I'm not going to be able to. And so in the rest and in the presence, it's like we dream from fulfillment and we future cast from fulfillment. And it's powerful and it's secondary. to the reality of what's here. Yeah. But tell me more.
So what I'm getting is dreaming from inspiration versus worrying about, or dreaming from desperation.
I love that. Yeah, dreaming
Yeah.
from inspiration
Yeah.
as opposed to dreaming from desperation. Beautifully put. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Anyone else?
Where in all this picture fits in doubt?
I love doubt.
I just identified doubt the last few days as, I would have called it a little bit my enemy, and I suddenly saw that's not the way to, but it's not the way to excite that energy to always watch over me. So is it more like, when I call it, say, mentally dissolve doubt, and on an emotional level I say love doubt into smithereens? And where do you think where it is really?
Where is doubt really?
Yeah.
Well, let's look it up. I mean, you're the one that experiences lately, so
yeah,
it's a little fresher for you. So let's take a look. Let's take a look.
Right in this moment I'm not visiting.
Okay, but that's what I love about the mind. The mind's an ally, and we can use the mind. Remember when there was something called a DVR? DVR, you got to record your favorite TV shows, and then you get to watch them later. Before, there were all these apps on TV that you can just access them at any moment, anything at any. It was like, well, you can use the mind to instead of future pacing, past pacing, and look at them. Where were you sitting the moment of doubt? Were you at home? Were you?
It's not that conscious. It's more like a ghost.
More like a ghost.
Which makes that I don't decide. You know, it overlays.
It overlays, right.
It's,
well,
so
one thing that I love about an education in the nature of mind is that to the mind itself, all of the facets of itself like to be super complicated. So there's doubt, and there's guilt, and there's worry, and there's this, and there's that. But when you start just noticing that in this moment, and it doesn't matter the realm, doesn't matter the being, it can be a cherubim, a seraphim, it doesn't matter, any point of consciousness. We always have the option to either emphasize descriptions or open, unknowable presence. So that's it. It doesn't matter what realm we're in, what dimension we're in, if we're blue beings or orange beings, or doesn't matter, anything. Always you can notice there's descriptions, and then there's the openness, indescribable. So if doubt is present, notice doubt is but a description. It's a description. So you don't have to approach it as like, how do I meet doubt? And from what space is doubt? And because it's just a description here. In other words, it levels the playing field.
But it's in my experience, a description which has a certain power. As I said, it can come in
with
and
more
make me not
description.
decide, like lame me from decision. So what do you do in that moment?
In that moment, open to it, welcome it. Hi, doubt. Doodly 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 doubt doubt doubt. When we try to wrestle with it, and when we try to, again, we're trying to solve a problem with the same problem that created it. You know, in our willingness to welcome it, oh my gosh, what is it that welcomes? Infinite intelligence, awareness synonymous with infinite intelligence. As we welcome it, it's no longer bleeding energy off from what is ours to do now. And so that's why I always say high mind, whether it's doubt, whether it's fear, whether it's a story, whether it's a funny thought, whether it's a projection, whether it's a judgment, whether it's a, oh, that means if the plane's name, if the plane time changes, you're gonna miss that flight, and then you won't be able to get to that party, and then you won't be able to do this, and then that might happen, and da 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 da. Hi minds, what's real? Oh, this moment's real. Yeah. And you're also available for the timeline to completely shift. If you enjoy timelines, you're not bound to that timeline, and you're in the space of magic. Awareness is synonymous with magic. Magic. And the atoms shift in the moment. So what we thought needed to happen in order for that to all of a sudden, completely different option reveals itself. And it's so exciting, and it's so delightful, because nothing is solid as it appears to be. If we take a high-powered microscope and looked at any of our hands in this room, looked at any apparent solid object, and what does a high-powered microscope do? It just invites something a little bit closer to look at. It's the work, but using a physical object. So if the work is asking the question as a way to bring something that appears so solid as a thought form, to notice, it's not there, not true, spacious, free. Oh, wow. Physical object, high-powered microscope. I thought I was a hand, but in the space of a high-powered, the Hadron Collider in Switzerland, no hand to be found. No one can identify that hand. It's just an appearance, not as solid as we think. This world, not as solid as we think. The trajectory of our apparent disasters and not as solid as we think. And there are infinite options of worlds here to step into.
Like a week ago, I was at John's, the inner immersion again.
Nice. Oh,
And
yeah.
there was something which totally ties in with this. You should tell him that.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's almost the same what you do with Byron Katie, to take a belief and
Yes.
hold it so, very strongly in one hand.
I love that.
And then hold the opposite in the other hand.
Uh-huh.
And then throw both in the lake. And in that moment, when I threw both in the lake, I knew I was the one which threw both in the lake,
Yay.
It was like I was a step behind it.
Yes.
So that was a very interesting second.
Oh, I so love that.
Because if I have the option to throw this and the anti-this in, there is a layer beyond.
What's here?
That was
Yes.
very cool. I should remember. I'm glad what you said brought this up.
Oh, I so love that.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Yes. Okay. I always like to think of it in wisdom, truth equals love. So having the wisdom to remember to be as open as the sky, and the truth that there's always going to be clouds, but the divine truth of love will always be shining, which is the sun, no matter what. Super simple for me to remember that.
I love that. I love that that's useful for you.
For you again, to repeat it. So the wisdom to know that you need to just stay as open as the sky. That a divine truth is always going to be that there's clouds or storms or whatever. But the biggest divine truth, which equals love, love will always be shining down on you. Light will always be shining down on you, because the sun is always shining behind the clouds.
Oh.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So mine isn't as picturesque as hers, but I have a friend. His name is Preston, and he says something that stuck in my brain. He said, "What you resist, persist." So the more you try to fight a feeling, or you try to fight the doubt and combat the doubt, the more doubt is going to be present, because you're just looking right at the doubt. That's the only thing you see. But when you shine a light on it, it just dissipates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes back to what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you are stuck in the idea of the doubt,
right.
the cure for that is just available.
Available.
High
Yes.
mind, high doubt is,
Yes.
yeah.
And in
that's
that,
it.
like you were saying, no resistance.
Exactly.
Yeah. No
You let
resistance.
go of the doubt. You're holding on to it so tight. You're like, look
Right.
at all the doubt. It's hurting me. It's like,
Right.
let go of it. It won't hurt anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the doubt is confirmation that there's a you, and there's a time, and there's a cause and effect. Los tres amigos.
Another one for you back.
Oh, fun.
You know, like I'm very much into anthroposophy, Waldorf, all that. And Steiner's big work is, which he only said, the only one which is still true in 1,000 years, is the philosophy of freedom. And that one ends with that fear thing. It's like, as long as you let the fear run behind you, it has power on you. If you turn around and face it, it cannot continue to exist.
Yeah.
So that's like what you also say with the persist. And that's good to be reminded. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, love. Yeah. I mean, goodness, you are pure conscious sunshine. Even as suns disappear and galaxies disappear, you, as you sit, the light of consciousness, all phenomena but mist in your presence, can't survive in the presence of what's real, of what's true. And then you have the whole universe appearing here in a usable way. In a usable way. What if one day it's confirmed that aliens exist? Oh, and they were planning to destroy the world as we know it. Alter our perception of perceived reality, expressing they're not here to fight, for they have come in peace. What if someday it's discovered that there is no line that separates, perpetuates the individual mind? Do you see us letting down all the walls that we've built up because we've misinterpreted the true meaning of love? What if someday we recognize that we are all the same, and that the source of everything is beyond any name? What if everything we've learned just meant nothing at all? Would the earth stop spinning round, just let go and fall into the universe until it turns into a star? What if in infinity there's no such thing as far? What if in infinity there's no such thing as far? Oh, what if someday we recognize that we are all the same? Oh, and that the source of everything is beyond any name. What if miracles were too close for our eyes to see? And this that's happening right now's but a possibility. What if you are dreaming or asleep when you're awake? What if God said thank you back? What would you say? What if someday we recognize that we are all the same? Yeah. And that the source of everything is beyond any name. You are beyond any name. This earth is beyond any name. A thought is beyond any name. Thank you, beloveds, for this sweet satsang. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so very much. May all beings recognize in ever more delightful and obvious ways the unlimited bounty of their own hearts now. Now. Mm. 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 It is